everyone, and welcome to the second episode of this podcast, The Atelier, with your host, MJ. This is a podcast where we cover every topic regarding art and design. In today's episode, I bring you the different types of art. But first, let me define art. According to the Britannica page, it is a mode of expression that uses skill or imagination in the creation of aesthetic objects, environments, or experiences that can be shared with others. Now, before I tell you which are the types of art, I want you to close your eyes. Unless you're driving or doing something dangerous, please don't. But if you are safe in your house doing something that maybe doesn't require all of your attention, close your eyes for a second. And imagine a white paper where you start drawing and pasting and imagining everything that defines art or that art represents for you. Most people, when thinking about art, they think about paint, brushes, canvas, sometimes even about La Mona Lisa and Leonardo da Vinci. Michelangelo, maybe? Now, stop. So tell me, what did you think about? Was I right or wrong? I made the same experiment with my brother, and he actually said something that really surprised me, and I was not expecting. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of context. My brother is a student of medicine. He loves medicine, he's in love with it, and that has a lot to do in his life. My parents are also doctors, and I'm not. I'm not going to be a doctor. But when I asked him this, he told me something that, as I said, really surprised me. He said, first, he said just like a white room. I was like, oh wow, thank you. That gives me so much context. But then he laughed and he actually said that he had imagined a room full of notes about the entire human anatomy. That is why I told you he was studying medicine, because medicine is a big part of him, and he imagined something that really is art, but just he imagined it in a way. He didn't actually follow the rules, as I said, but he imagined something that was art, and I wasn't expecting him to tell me that. But then, I did the same experiment with a friend. That friend actually was like, I don't know, like art, painting, and that's it. I don't know. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. But since I have two different perceptions, I want to know what you think. So if you thought about something different, tell me in the IG stories that I'm going to be posting later. And now, let me tell you about all the types of art. First, I want you to think about something that you think it's not art, but it actually may be art. Because that happened to me, that what you are experiencing right now, if you are doing what I told you to do, that happened to me, that same experience happened to me when I learned that bakery can be taken as a form of art. I was like, bakery? But like, why? And then if you think about it, they are making aesthetic objects, but in cakes. So they're actually drawing in cakes, wow, I don't know how to say that. They are sculpturing, yeah, but cake. I don't know if you have seen Cake Boss. That is art, just in a complete different way that you would probably not imagine. So, art does not limit itself to paint and brushes, but it's actually a lot bigger. Adding art includes music, architecture, sculpture, that's the word that I was searching for, ceramics, photography, crafts, DIY, filmmaking, and so much more. And that is exactly what visual arts is. The first category, and that's the one that I believe is the most common one, includes all of that. It's all about painting, drawing. What else do you want? That's visual arts, and it includes so much more. I mean, filmmaking. At first, you don't think about it, but then you start thinking, really thinking, like diving into your thoughts, and you're like, it's art. It's just a visual art. It's a little bit different. Our second category is literature. And you might be asking yourself, like, why? Well, because it actually has to do with art. It is about aesthetic. Remember, everything that has to do with aesthetic is art. So, writing poems, books, telling stories, making short stories, that is art. Then you can also find graphic art, which is a form of expression in flat surfaces, like painting, design, drawing. And you're actually going to notice that some forms of art fit in different categories and not just in one. Just the way it happened with visual arts and graphic arts, where you find painting and drawing. But that's the thing. The same thing happened with the next category, which is plastic arts, in which you will find sculpture, just like in visual arts. In this category, you can also find something about modeling. That is also an art. And now let's go with the next category, which is decorative arts. I didn't know this was like a thing, but you probably also have already imagined what it is about, and it includes everything that comes with furniture design, mosaic, enamel work, which, in case you don't know what it is when some surfaces of metal objects, mostly, get a decorative effect with the brilliant colors through a process where vitreous glaze is fused into their surfaces with heat. And that's something new. Fun fact about decorative art: people sometimes discuss about whether or not some forms of these should be taken into account. But they are actually art, so they should be taken into account. You can find things like stained glass work, tapestry, floral decoration, furniture, glassware, bakery, the one that I was telling you about, lacquer work, metal work, and so many more. Let's go with the sixth category, which is performing arts. This includes theater, dance, music, drama, and these are forms of entertainment, and almost all of them involve a 360-degree experience, which is what many people like about this art, because you can actually feel senses. It's not just what you see in a book or what you see in a painting, it's what you feel through the art, which is what artists are trying to express through all of their arts, not just through theater, dance, or music, but through everything. But it's easier to feel it when you're in a theater or when you're in a concert. It's a lot easier to feel something than when you just see a painting. And last but not least, music, which is the seventh category, and architecture, which is the eighth category. Architecture includes interior design, and it's so much more than just drawing buildings, which is what most people think about when you tell them, oh, I study architecture. They're like, oh, so you draw buildings, and you're like, no. I mean, yes, but that's not the only thing you do, right? And then same thing with music. It's not just writing the letters of a music or just being like singing songs. It's so much bigger. But that's what many people don't understand. But basically, to get an overall of everything, art is everything that has to do with aesthetic, and that's it. Like, basically, if there's something that has to do with aesthetic in any way, shape, or form, that's art. It's a form of art. But take into account that art is all around the world and in every continent, every country. Sometimes even cities have a different form of art from the entire country. They also have different cultures. African, American, Latin, South Asian, Western. That creates also different forms of art, which is something that we're going to be talking in our next episode. Vietnamese art. Let me know if you know anything about it, but if you don't, I'll teach you all about it. I want you to remember that I just commented on the top 8 of the many categories that are in the world, which are literature, visual arts, graphic arts, plastic arts, decorative arts, performing arts, music, and architecture. But actually, there are other forms of art like animation, body art, collage, same thing. So many more that I can't even count them. If you want to research more about it, I will suggest you do. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you made it up to the end, send me a pink palette emoji to my DMs. Whoa, sorry. Remember, at the Atelier _. Wait, sorry. No, if you really want to do that and send me something to my DMs, remember it's at the _Atelier _podcast. So that I can actually know that you made it up to the end. Thank you for listening to this podcast and see you in my next episode. Bye!